Welcome to Soulful Living with myself, Dr. Phillip Mountrose, my wife and partner Jane, who's not here today, but we have a very special guest, Kelly Benoit from Hamilton, Canada, and she's going to share some thoughts about a wonderful topic on shifting your mind and thoughts into the present moment. And this show, the Soulful Living show that comes to you weekly here in Facebook Live and different places, different outlets. Jane and myself, we've had 3 decades of experience in the field of holistic life coaching and healing. We're published authors, trainers, coaches, founding directors of IAHP, the International Association of Holistic Practitioners, which is connected with Awakenings Institute, our nonprofit organization, which is devoted to waking up the world, honoring people and everyone's natures and gifts, nurturing them. And so each week, Sunday, this time, we have a guest, or we discuss a soulful living topic, a practical topic, something you can put into practice weekly. And we encourage you to share this show with others and get the word out. And today, as I said, we have a special guest, Kelly Benoit, who's a wonderful associate and colleague of ours and a student of ours as well. She's a holistic life coach. She is a yoga instructor, a mentor, a teacher, and she helps people awaken too as a facilitator and workshop leader, and supports all those who want to become designers of their lives. Welcome to Soulful Living, Kelly.
Thank you for having me, Phil. I'm excited to be here and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
It's great to be here with you. Hey, did you want to add anything about your bio there, about anything you wish to have people know about you and how you get to talking about shifting your thoughts into the present moment, our topic today?
Yes. Well, I have been extremely passionate from a very young age and very introspective. I've known for quite a while that I was here with the role and mode of growth and passionate growth. And so I've been studying yoga. I've been practicing yoga for over 30 years. I've been teaching yoga for over 19 and teaching it full-time for 8 years. And I'm transitioning now. I'm transitioning. I was also an intuitive counselor. And I worked a lot with issues, the clients that I was drawing to me. We were doing a lot of past issues. So a lot of past life regressions and Akashic record consultations. And I've just been feeling really passionate about being in the moment and starting to work with what's happening now. As you've taught me, Phil, working with the limited beliefs, the patterns that we have, and then moving forward and manifesting the life of our dreams from there. So I'm transitioning from a full-time yoga career to really putting my heart and soul into my holistic life coaching and healing business. So I'm building a whole new website. It's exciting.
It is. And I think a lot of people watching this, listening to us, can tune into that word transitioning, because life is always sort of a transition, but sometimes there's bigger transitional periods than others. And I'm sure a lot of people are like you, that they're moving from one thing that maybe they like or maybe even don't like so much into something they're more fully aligned with.
I think this is what is happening right now. And it's a perfect time for those of us that have the knowledge and the desire to help people, transition, maybe from one career to another, from one job to, another, to even from one life to another. So if I can do my part and, give some of my wisdom out there, then I want to do that. I want to share that.
That's great. Yeah, we look forward to that. And you're a very inspirational person to be around, as people who don't know you are going to pick up on this. And I'm just curious about transitioning, what you're noticing in yourself about being aware of your own mind and your thoughts in the present moment as you're going through this transition period.
What I'm really focusing on is being present. And as you said, in the moment, that's always been a challenge for me in the past. And I think that's a challenge for so many of us because we become conditioned from our past experiences, from our family, from society. And I think a lot of us are really comfortable there. So in a transition, it's always uncomfortable to do that because we're stepping into the moment, which for a lot of us, we're not used to being there. So it's uncomfortable. We
Mm-hmm.
also, in the moment, we're starting to look at ourselves in a much
Mm-hmm.
deeper way. We're more aware.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I think what I really want to share with people is how beautiful that transition can be. The getting to know yourselves in a way that you haven't before because you've been, locked up in the past, or you've been, into the future, not really recognizing what's happening, not being aware of all of the amazing things that are happening in the present moment, and even some of the challenging things, which, as you know, Phil, we start to shift our awareness about those, moving away from looking at the present and maybe the lack, and recognizing the blessings of the moment, seeing the beauty around us, really engaging in life and in conversations we might be having with people. So for me, the transition has really been beautiful in this time where a lot of us have had all of this time to really be present and have the time to meditate or walk in nature or however it is that you connect with the moment. For me, it's been really beautiful and actually much easier than I thought it would be.
Now, tell me a little more about that. What made it easier than you thought it was going to be?
I think for the longest time, I was very locked up in those old patterns, as I said. And in that um, repetitive thinking, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, most times it was negative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that would be a real challenge for me to get out of that. Like I generally am an optimistic person, but
Mm-hmm.
I've had some very challenging times in the last 12 years. And now, so I thought it would be hard for me to start to be positive about those challenges and the obstacles that I've had and those very fearful moments,
Mm-hmm.
especially in regards to, for me, my finances. We all kind of have our thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that would be hard, but
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been as hard as I thought to switch, to start to change the thought patterns that I have. One of the ways that I started to do that is through meditation, through guided meditations,
Mm-hmm.
through sitting in stillness and really watching the patterns that come up, the thoughts that come up, and shifting my perception around them. So rather than really engaging in the old ways of thinking, if an emotion comes up, if a sensation that is familiar to me, one from the past, in the stillness and being present in the moment to what's happening in that experience that I'm having, and then being able to breathe with my breath. The
Mm-hmm.
breath is key,
Mm-hmm.
and starting to change how I look at those things, being really open, being very soul centered is really important. And I don't know if you want to explain that, or do you want me to explain it, Phil?
Well, we often explain it. Why don't you explain it from your perspective?
Hmm. So soul centered for me is connecting with that thing that's not only bigger than myself, the energy, but it is myself. And
Mm-hmm.
we can do that many ways, as you know. For me, it's very easy to connect with the light within my heart through my breath and feel it expanding, moving around me, almost in like a protective bubble shell of beautiful energy. And then seeing, feeling, noticing the high self, the divine light above me. For people that, want to call it divine light, you can call it pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure
Mm-hmm.
energy, just moving through me and feeling and connecting. um, for me, that's been a really powerful way to bring myself not just into the moment in the reality that I'm experiencing there, but beyond that, way
Mm-hmm.
deeper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to kind of go back and connect some of the dots here that you've mentioned, Kelly. And you're listening
Sure.
to Kelly Bordelin, Benoit Bordelin on the Soulful Living Show. I'm Phillip Mountrose. And so you had some negative thought patterns, particularly around finances. Give me like just a quick blip, like it, such as, and these would be common things to probably certain people. You'd say things like what to yourself?
It's always going to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I am, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I ever going to have enough? Will I ever have abundance,
Yeah,
financial
so there was some
abundance?
survival stuff going on there.
Yes, definitely
Okay,
survival
so those
stuff.
were the limiting recurring patterns.
Hmm.
And then bringing in the soul centering, the awareness of yourself from a higher perspective of your body and your soul and your possibilities. And,
Hmm.
and then it's shifting. And then how, explain more how the shift occurs or what you're perceiving then.
So the shift really starts to occur when I do drop into the moment and I can actually look at the abundance that is surrounding me, because it's, it may not be what somebody else that's not quite aware would consider abundance, but for me, I have everything that I need. There's beauty around me. I've got a gorgeous, vegetable garden that I put in my little tiny,
Mm-hmm.
matchbox backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that allows me to do is to understand what real abundance is when I drop into the moment, when everything, even if it's less than perfect, but it is my space, my home. Um, that really allows me to kind of say, hey, what is really and truly abundant?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can also look back at the past stuff and I can start to see that it's not mine to hold on to more. A lot of it is familial. It's been passed down to me, that sense of lack. Um, and I realized that it's not mine, because at some
Mm-hmm.
point in time when I was younger, I had no idea that I wasn't wealthy, that I wasn't abundant, that I wasn't going to be financially very comfortable. Somewhere along the way, there was a shift. And now there's another shift. And I'm starting to move back into that abundance thinking,
Mm-hmm.
limitless possibilities. And it's because I've been able to really connect in the moment with the blessings around me, and also with that soul centering, understanding that I am part of this limitless universe in
Mm-hmm.
which anything and everything is available to anybody and everybody
Mm-hmm.
that chooses to tap into it and to be present to it.
Now, is that what you mean when you say what's truly abundant?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't always mean a bank account with $100,000 in it.
Right.
Truly abundant means that everything that I need, I have around me,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Resources.
can see the beauty and, as you always say, the miracles in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so bringing it into this moment, what are you perceiving now, being broadcasting to different people, sharing your stories, sharing your insights, helping people be present to this moment? What's coming up for you?
What's coming up for me is gratitude. And I find that gratitude is just what opens up the heart and opens up the possibilities. And I'm very grateful
Mm-hmm.
to be with you here and to be sharing my story with whoever wants to listen to it, whoever is drawn to it. So for me, that's what I find in the moment. I find gratitude.
Yeah, it's like a treasure that's all around us. All we have to do is open our eyes and look for it.
Exactly. And it's not far.
The
It's
treasures of
usually
the
right.
moment.
Yeah, it's right where you are. It's right
It's
where you
right where
are,
you're standing on a treasure chest on a gold mine.
on a gold mine.
Your life
The,
in this moment.
mhm. The key I have found, it's so important to, and I've kind of said that, is like, change your mind and change your life.
Mm-hmm.
I found being present in the moment allows you to shift your perception about what's happening around you and what's happening in your experience in your daily life.
Right. And we'll get to some stories of how this has how you've helped other people with this, but still staying with your own story a little bit. Um, how has that played out from where you've been, your past yoga training there in Canada, and
Mhm.
other modalities, to where you are now and where you're going? How is that playing out?
The mindfulness, the being present, the shifting my mind and my thoughts has been, I would say, especially predominantly, and this is really funny, in the last few months, has shifted so dramatically that I've almost done a complete 180,
Wow.
where before I was being bogged down by my worries about money and my thoughts. And even, you know, when there was this part of me that was like, hey, you deserve abundance. You deserve, if you want wealth, you deserve wealth. You know, if you just, you deserve the great career, the relationship, whatever. But then something in the back of my head, and we've discussed this, you and I, Phil, is that there was always that thing in the back of my head. It was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen for you. It happens for other people, but is it going to happen for you? So in the last few months, that has dramatically changed. And what's happening is this energetic domino effect that is where I'm manifesting like I never have before.
Wow.
And that's not why I'm doing it.
Right.
But it's a byproduct.
It's a result of being in the
Yeah.
moment and having your thoughts right. So things
Yeah.
are resulting in a positive way. So what, they're manifestations or things that are showing up in your life or opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. One, I'm happier than I can remember being in a really long time, and just happy to be happy. You know, just happy to be living my life. And I've also become very empowered because of it. Self-empowered. I've found, and I've always been strong. I've been through a lot in my life, and I'm strong. But the strength that I'm talking about now, it's really different. I believe in myself. I believe in my gifts, and I always have. But now I feel very empowered to bring them out and forward. I've also I manifested a new vehicle, which how I don't know, but here it is. I'm currently playing with this whole manifestation. I manifested the most amazing relationship that I've ever had, my life partner. And so now as I said, I'm playing with it, and we want to move out into the country. So I'm manifesting a beautiful piece of land and a home that will suit all of us and our children and our dogs. And so we'll see how long that takes.
So who are you working with? Who are the people that you help, or maybe some examples of people you are helping or have helped, especially shifting their thoughts into the present moment in a more positive, productive way?
Well, I mean, I do it with my own family,
Yes.
and you know, with your own kids, sometimes your kids don't listen to you, but
Really?
they know better than you do. But they're starting to listen more. And so I have students that have come to me as clients through the studio and through my intuitive counseling. And so I've helped people shift their thoughts really mostly in regards to their past. And as I said, that's why now I want to shift into the present moment, not only with myself, but with my clients, and work on what are we working with now? Let's see what we can work with. So I've had clients that I've done a lot of past life regressions with, that what they have found, and my past life regressions are a little different than some people do them, where I'm just a guide. I'm not, even though I might be getting some pictures and some messages on my own, I'm allowing the student or my client to, I'm just guiding them, and they are allowing their imagination to take them into the past life regression. And what they're seeing has really been very enlightening. I've had 4 main clients that I've done continuous work with, and their whole being has shifted. They've become, 2 of my clients were really unhealthy. They were becoming very unhealthy, and they've shifted their thinking. They're happier, they're healthier, their health is on the rise now.
So some of the challenges they had stem back to a past life, is what you're saying?
And to earlier, as most of us do, we usually have something earlier on in
Early
this
in life,
incarnation.
this life,
Yeah.
another time. So they got to a source of it, and that shifted. Wonderful. And so, say someone is watching this, listening to this, and they're struggling now. It could be with abundance or something like that. They have some negative thinking, something that feels like they're stuck, that keeps happening. What would you suggest to that person?
Well, and the topic of this show, of course, is being in the moment, shifting your thoughts in the present moment. So in order to shift your thoughts, you've got to be present to what the thought patterns are.
What is the thought?
Yeah, what is the thought that keeps coming up? And is it recurring? Has it been a recurring story in your life? Because most of those negative thought patterns are a recurring story that keeps playing out. So
Right.
being present and in the moment, you can start to recognize it, discover that pattern. You can't change anything until you discover it. And at that point, then being present means different things to a lot of people. A lot of people aren't into meditating, or they're not quite there yet. Then walking in the forest, swimming in the water, however you connect and being present to what's happening in your experience. And the biggest thing that I have, and I always taught this to my yoga students, to my clients, is be in the moment in your body. If you have a really hard time with staying in the present, then move into your body first physically, because that is the most tangible thing, right? We can feel an ache, we can feel a tightness, we can feel a sensation. So if that is what you need to draw you into the present moment, be aware of your body. If you're walking in the forest, feel your feet hitting the ground, touch a tree and really feel the tree. Let that bring you into the moment. A lot of people will do the nice deep breathing patterns, and that's what brings them in. So the key is to find your way of becoming present, and it will become easier and easier. And once you're in that moment, then you can keep your heart and your mind open to what you're starting to recognize, the emotions that maybe come up, the thought patterns that come up. And we use our breath. And, you know, if you work with Phil and Jane or myself or any of the other alumni from Awakenings, we will give you really good tools to then start to deal with through emotional freedom techniques, reframing, anchoring, and a whole host of other processes that we have to start to work with those limiting beliefs, the challenges, and change our thoughts about them and see them as opportunities to grow and to love ourselves more and to move forward in life.
So you started honing in on some of these recurring patterns and realized you had these tools, holistic EFT, reframing and anchoring, and they could shift it along with your breathing, mindfulness, being in nature, which is very powerful too.
Yeah, definitely for me. Being in nature, especially swimming, that's why I swim every day. It's really how, you know, because you can hear yourself breathing as you're swimming, and there's nothing else besides you, your breath in the water. And it just brings you right into the center. And I'm telling you, I don't even have to think about being grateful. My heart just opens and there's gratitude.
Yeah, swimming is a breathing exercise, and just when people breathe more slowly, as you know, it relaxes them. It takes them out of a sympathetic kind of survival bias, which we're unconsciously poised at. And if you consciously start to breathe slower, you relax and open up. And being in nature, I was doing a video today. I have a new camera, and I was going out so I could go outside and do a video, which I hadn't done for a while. And I was noticing, Kelly, that even though I often do these little videos monthly on this topic, it was on what you say to yourself, which is relevant to our topic today. I started realizing I started having a lot of creative thoughts. I'm saying, that's interesting. And I think a lot of it was, even though I was in my backyard, I mean, it wasn't like I was out in a beautiful forest, which probably wouldn't even been more powerful, but just even our backyard is pretty nice because we have a lot of plants and gardens we put. It just seemed to be very stimulating being around the plants and outdoors.
Oh, it really, really is. Yeah. And that's the thing. You don't even have to think about making the connection. I have found that I have had my best ideas when I've been anchored in the water on my paddleboard, laying there or reading, you know, the soul book or the emotions book. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 I'm starting to get the downloads, these, and I know that they're downloads, divine inspiration, whatever, however you want to say it, consciousness coming in, but it gets me excited. My heart starts to beat faster, but not in a stressful way, in a really excited way. And then I start writing feverishly.
Yeah, certain kind of excitement can be very stimulating and energized as long as you're not overly excited all the time. Yeah, and thank you for noting our Getting Through to Your Soul book. Those are our books, just so people know. And Getting Through to Your Emotions with EFT. Thanks for
amazing books. I love them.
Those. Is what's one of the most important things you've learned in your work around this topic, or things that you might want to share with people to keep in mind about being in the moment?
Well, I think, you know, one of the ways, first of all, I mean, being in the moment, there just seems to be peace. Once you once you understand how powerful being in the moment is, there's this acceptance that comes in. And really, the acceptance and the allowing is when we actually start to flow with the laws of nature, with the universe, with this beautiful, powerful energy that is around us. But I have found more than anything, being in the moment really allows us to feel everything. And as I've always said, in order to heal, we have to feel. So for me, being in the moment has allowed me to let, in a very equanimous way, in a very, rather than a reactive but a responsive way, allow whatever bubbles up to the consciousness to bubble up, allow myself to finally feel those emotions that at some point I have repressed, I've shoved down, in order maybe to physically, emotionally, psychologically survive. Allow them to come up, using my breath, being present, even sometimes becoming a witness as to what's happening, but allowing myself to finally feel. And you can really only feel those past emotions in the present. I mean, you can feel them and you can keep the stories going of why they are there, but in the moment is when you can shift those stories within that feeling. So for me, that's been the biggest thing, being present, is allowing myself to feel again. And I've always believed life is meant to be felt. That's how you live fully. And sometimes that feeling can be uncomfortable, but you've got your breath, you've got the tools.
Right. So if you're doing it on yourself with your breath and the tools and the holistic EFT, reframing and anchoring, or working with someone like Kelly or someone else is very helpful, because it's hard to do some of the deepest work on your own, as we know, to get through some of these kind of more hidden, deeper stuff parts. Just to have a support there so you don't have to figure it all out on your own is a good idea as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed to be starting to shift my own role into the coaching. So I'm now becoming the partner to my clients,
Yes.
the partner, the supporter, guiding you through, but allowing them to really self-empower and take charge of their lives again. I'm just there to help.
You're a good helper and you're inspirational too, Kelly.
Thank you, Phil. So are you.
You bet. Thank you. And anything else you want to add on this very great topic about shifting your mind and thoughts to the present moment, with special guest here, Kelly Benoit Bortelin from Hamilton, Canada area, a holistic coach, yoga instructor, and an evolving soul and helper to many people. Anything else you want to add to?
I would like to talk about the obstacles, because I think a lot of people aren't even aware that they're sort of blocking themselves from being in the present.
Right.
And one of the biggest ways that most of us, I would say probably until we become a little more aware of it, all of us do it. We're either fretting about the past, we're living in the past, we're replaying those patterns. So we're drawn out of the present. And even if we're recognizing something in the present that kind of triggers something from the past, we're brought right back. Or we're in the future already, sort of bypassing that center space where we need to do the healing. So a lot of people, I think that the other thing too is we're so distracted nowadays. I've found the last few months where we've all had the social distancing, where we've been home more, a little slower, has been very powerful for a lot of people. And I've had a lot of people approaching me on like, I really want to do this internal work. What do I do? Where do I start? And the first place I always tell them is become present. Start to learn how to become present as often as you can, not just an hour a day, as often as you can. Be in the here and the now.
Be with your breath, like meditation. Be mindful. Do healing processes to clear out the blockages and the obsessive thinking.
Definitely. All done in the present.
Get help, get support. Connect with people who can help you or think this way, or listen to the show here on the IHP, the Facebook show, or other podcasts or positive sources to keep your mind going in the right direction and your heart open.
Definitely. And there's so many great resources out there. like seven years ago, I was really starting my journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
And that's when I came to you and Jane and started taking the course, the Holistic Life Coaching and Healing course, certification course.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, it changed my life. And even now that I'm back and mentoring and retaking it and learning other things, learning more things, which I'm so excited about. Again, there's this big shift coming along. So yeah, there's so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
You've got so much support out there to learn how to do it. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's another obstacle that I have found with clients that have come to me is they're like, and not even ask me for my help. They're just like, I don't know what to do, but I feel like
Right.
something's changing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, they're at that shifting, that pivotal point in their life that could be a midlife transition. Or they might be even considerably younger, even in their 20s at some point, or early 30s, or
yeah,
later. And hey, there's more to life.
there's
I'm
so
here to
much more
do
to
more.
life.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And it starts in the present moment, like you said, shifting your thoughts, your awareness to the now, the timeless
So
now,
powerful.
always now,
Always now.
always back
That's
to.
when all the magic happens, is in the now.
Yeah, and that's, you sit down and meditate. What are you meditating? You're meditating on your breath at the present moment. You always come back to that same place, which you're always at all the time, and tend to forget and be oblivious and distracted.
Yeah. And pulled away. So now it's a time to stop being distracted. I set, I said to myself about 2 months ago, and I know it seems like it took you that long because I just turned 50, July 17th. But I said, that's it. Okay, I've done so many processes on the past. I've worked with my inner child. I've done all, and now I'm so about the present. It's changing. Like I'm like exuberant. I always was, but now there's this shift. There's this constant connection with the flow and the energy of the universe. And a lot of people are like, oh, that sounds kind of blah blah blah. You'll know it. And one thing that I always said to my students when I was teaching is that we think in yoga or meditation, we're striving for enlightenment, and it's going to be all of a sudden our whole world is going to change and we're going to be levitating. And that's not it. We can become enlightened any second of the day. Enlightenment just means that you are in the moment, you're grateful, you are exuberant. There's no other thought except pure unconditional love and acceptance for the moment. And no matter what's happening in that moment, you're like, this is exactly what's supposed to be happening now. And my heart and my mind is open to it. What do I need to do? What do I need to see? What do I need to learn? And what do I need to feel? And it's all good. And when you're there, you've reached enlightenment. So there's the secret of life. I
And you
just
keep
gave it
doing
away,
it
Phil.
every moment, over and over again. Wondrous
Exactly.
things happen then. Hey, that's great, Kelly. And if people want to learn more about you or connect with you, what do they do?
Okay, so I'm very excited. I have a website now that is geared more towards the yoga, but there is information on the intuitive counseling. So the past life, spiritual plane communication, and all of that information. And that is at kellybenoityoga.com. Benoit is Benoit. But I'm really excited about, I'm in the works creating my new website, which is going to be self-empowered soul, excuse me, I'm all messed up, selfempoweredsoul.com. And that is going to be my website that is strictly designed for my holistic life coaching and healing. So it's in the works. It should be up within the next week to 2 weeks.
Oh, so that's coming up close. What's the URL for the new one?
Selfempoweredsoul.com.
That's a nice title. And what's the current one that's up?
kellybenoityoga.com.
Kelly, and spell Benoit?
Benoit.
Yoga.com.
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, if you wanted to get a hold of me via email, if you have any questions about Phil and Jane, about myself, about what we offer, any other questions, selfempoweredsoul@gmail.com.
Self-empowered, empowered ED, empowered
Yep. Soul, SOUL. Yep.
.com.
Not soul of the
Gotcha.
foot.
No, yeah, I kind of figured that. Well, you've been a delight, Kelly, and you're inspirational, and you're on the right track. It's really great the choices you made and how things have turned around for you, and you're a great success story.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil. You are, you've been a part of that journey, and I'm excited to keep learning from you. I'm good. It's not going to stop. I
Yeah.
learn so much, and I feel so very grateful to you and Jane for your wonderful organization, Awakenings Institute, all the courses that you offer to people. So there's so much to learn from you, and I'm so thankful that you asked me on the show today.
Well, we're glad to have you. You're inspirational as well. And remember, with the keys of the show, like staying present in the moment, being aware of your thoughts, as Kelly was sharing. Um, it's part of the Soulful Living Show. Please share this with other people if you like it. Keep this tip in mind. You'll have a wonderful week if you are aware and present to your thoughts in your mind in the moment. And our website is getting through thru.org/holistic, our holistic website. Phillip and Jane, my wife and partner, getting thru.org/holistic. And we do value your support, and tuition for our courses and other purchases support our mission of helping to create a more loving world. And if you can share the message of love with those around you, together we can change the world. And thank you so much, Kelly Benoit Bordelin, wonderful guest today on our show. So thanks, Kelly. And until next time, have a great week.
Have a great week, Phil. Thank